There are people in this world who walk into a room and everything shifts, not because they're the most beautiful, not because they're the richest, but because something about them makes others lean in closer, stay longer, and crave their attention. You've probably felt it. That magnetic pull towards someone who doesn't seem to need you the way you need them. What if I told you that pull isn't magic? It's a carefully constructed reality based on how the human mind actually works. What if attraction isn't something that happens to you, but something you can deliberately architect? Niccolo Machiavelli understood this. And what he discovered about power, influence, and human desire is more relevant today than it was 500 years ago. Most people spend their entire lives trying to be likable. They perform, they chase, they constantly broadcast. Their availability, their eagerness, their need for approval. And the irony is devastating. The more they chase, the less attractive they become. The more they perform, the more people sense the desperation underneath. Machiavelli saw this clearly. He understood that the people with the most power weren't the ones who tried hardest to please. They were the ones who understood the brutal mechanics of human desire. And the first thing you need to understand is this. Attraction has nothing to do with being nice. It has everything to do with being strategic about how you show up in people's lives. Let's talk about the first secret. People want what they can't have. This isn't philosophy. This is neurology. Your brain is wired by millions of years of evolution to pursue scarcity. When something is available all the time, your brain classifies it as worthless. But when something is rare, when it requires effort to obtain, your brain treats it like treasure. Machiavelli understood this when he wrote about the illusion of power. The most powerful leaders weren't the ones constantly visible. They were the ones who appeared only when it mattered. The ones whose time was so valuable that getting it felt like a privilege. Think about the people you respect most in your life. Are they the ones who text you back instantly? Are they the ones who are always available? No. They're the ones who have something else going on. Their presence feels earned. When you finally get their attention, it feels like winning something. This is the first dark truth. Your scarcity is more attractive than your abundance will ever be. The paradox is that the more you distance yourself from needing people's approval, the more desperately they seek yours. But scarcity alone doesn't create attraction. Anyone can disappear. The second secret is far more dangerous because it requires you to see people clearly, and most people can't do that. They're too busy projecting their own insecurities onto others. Machiavelli said that to be powerful, you must understand what people want, not what they say they want. There's a difference. Someone might say they want honesty in a relationship, but what they actually crave is certainty and control. Someone might say they want a confident partner, but what they're drawn to is someone who makes them feel needed. The gap between what people say and what they actually want is where real power lives. Most people telegraph their desires through their behavior. They show you exactly what they value through what they respond to, what makes them lean in, what makes their voice change. If you're paying attention, really paying attention, you can see it. The way someone's face softens when they feel important. The way they engage more when they believe they have to earn something from you. The way they light up when they feel like they're winning something that matters. This isn't manipulation. This is literacy. This is the ability to read the subtext of human behavior. And once you can read it, you can influence it. The third secret lives in the space between caring and appearing not to care. This is where most people fail. They either care too much and broadcast it, or they don't care at all and seem cold. Machiavelli walked a line that most people never find. He cared intensely about understanding power and influence, but he never let that desperation show. He appeared almost detached, almost unmoved. This indifference is catastrophically attractive because it does something to people's minds. When someone doesn't seem to need your validation, your brain goes into overdrive, trying to earn it. You start wondering what you could do to matter to them. You start performing. You start competing for their attention. And the cruelest part is that the more you compete, the more convinced you become that they're valuable. We don't value what comes easily. We value what resists us. The person who seems indifferent to your charm is the person you'll pursue hardest. This is wired into our primal instincts. We're attracted to what we can't control. We're drawn to people who don't seem fully captured by us. The moment someone appears to need you too much, something in the human psyche recoils. It's not conscious, it's not rational, but it's real. So the third dark secret is this: your emotional detachment is more seductive than your emotional intensity will ever be. The more you can sit with someone and remain untouched by their approval or rejection, the more power you hold over their desire for you. Now we move into something deeper. The fourth secret is about tension. Most people try to create comfort. They smooth things over, they accommodate, they try to make people feel at ease. This is a fundamental misunderstanding of attraction. Comfort is the death of desire. When everything is resolved, when there's nothing to figure out, when someone feels completely safe with you, the spark dies. Machiavelli understood that power lives in tension, in the space between trust and doubt, between certainty and uncertainty. He created situations where people never quite knew where they stood with him. He was kind one moment and distant the next. He was generous and then withholding. This kept people engaged. It kept them thinking about him. It created a kind of psychological gravity. The people you think about most aren't the ones who treat you the same way every single day. They're the ones who keep you guessing. The ones who show you kindness that feels earned rather than automatic. The ones who can withdraw their attention and make you feel its absence. This isn't cruelty. This is the science of desire. Mystery is fuel. Predictability is poison. When you're completely transparent, completely consistent, completely knowable, people stop looking. But when there's something they can't quite figure out, when there's a part of you that remains hidden, when they feel like they only know 80% of who you are, they'll spend endless energy trying to understand that remaining 20%. This is the hook of attraction. This is how you become unforgettable. The fifth and final secret is the most dangerous because it reveals the core of how attraction actually works. It's about making people feel like they need you more than you need them, not in a financial sense, but in a psychological one. Machiavelli understood that power is the feeling of leverage. It's knowing that someone values what you have more than you value needing it from them. This shifts the entire dynamic of the relationship. They become the supplicant. They become the one performing. They become the one offering value to earn your attention. You see this in relationships all the time. The person who cares less has all the power. The person who is most willing to walk away can set the terms. And the brutal truth is that this isn't shallow or superficial. It's just human nature. We all feel more intensely about things we could lose. We all want more deeply what we're afraid we can't have. Machiavelli didn't invent this. He just understood it clearly and acted on it without guilt or hesitation. He knew that to attract people, you had to create a situation where they felt like they were chasing you, not the other way around, where they felt like they were lucky to have your attention, where they felt like they had to constantly prove their worth to you. But here's where most people get this wrong. They think this means being mean. They think it means playing games. They think it means being dishonest. That's not what this is. This is about understanding the architecture of your own psychology and using it intentionally. It's about knowing that the more you need someone, the less attractive you become to them. So you work on yourself. You build a life so full, so meaningful, so purpose-driven, that your attachment to any one person becomes genuinely low. You develop skills, you pursue passion, you cultivate a sense of mission. And from that place of genuine strength, people are drawn to you like gravity. You're not performing indifference. You actually have other options. You're not creating scarcity artificially. You're busy. You're not being mysterious on purpose. You're just not available to be fully known by everyone because your energy is spent on things that matter. This is the deepest layer of attraction. When your own life is more interesting than the possibility of someone else joining it, Machiavelli would recognize this immediately. He wasn't saying ignore people. He was saying that power comes from the clarity of seeing things as they actually are, not as you wish them to be. People don't admire weakness. People don't pursue people who pursue them. People don't value what costs nothing to obtain, and people don't feel attraction to someone who seems desperate for their validation. They feel attraction to someone who is whole without them, someone who is calm in their own power, someone who doesn't tremble at the thought of rejection, because they're not betting their entire sense of worth on another person's approval.